Hey everyone, I am super excited to be back for our latest episode of Founders. Today we have Jonathan Clark, founder and president of Raw Grip Strength. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Daniel.
Super excited to have this conversation with you. Before we jumped on the stream, it's pretty clear we have a shared interest in fitness, in systems, in routine. So I'm sure we're going to get to all those conversations. For those who are curious about the business, I encourage you guys to go check out Raw Grip Chalk on Instagram. We'll get to what the business is in a bit, but for those who are curious, check it out there. And if you guys have questions, I encourage you, please drop them in the comments now, and we'll try to get to them as we go. And obviously, if you enjoy what you're seeing, please like and share if you're enjoying the conversation. But for those who have watched these before, I really like to start from the beginning, and because I feel like every entrepreneur, whether or not they realize it or think about it, when you reflect on it, there's like elements of your early life or your parents or your family or those formative years that probably had the seeds of something, or maybe not. I don't know. I've seen all different versions of it, but I'd love to start with you, Jonathan. Where did you grow up? What was that life like? And we'll see where our conversation takes us.
Oh gosh, that's all we're going to talk about then, apparently. Grew up in mostly San Diego, California, so mostly a SoCal kid. I think as far as early life influences on business, I was really fortunate. My mother worked in high-level jobs. She had high-level clearances, things like that. So I was around unique things. Like I got to sit in a Harrier simulator when I was like 12, which was as awesome as it sounds. The demo room for everything that company did, that was a company called Applied Remote Technology. Their demo room was designed by the guy that designed the bridge for the Star Trek Enterprise for Star Trek. Which one was it? Next Generation. So right. So so I'm a kid. I got to see those things. So I was around a lot of different things, sides of business. I got to see admin sides. I got to sit in on business dinners. Things like that. My mother, she tried her hand at some entrepreneurial endeavors. I learned firsthand about the challenges that an entrepreneur goes through. And she learned that, she wasn't cut out for it. And that was a valuable lesson too, because not all of us are. But you also shouldn't quit too soon, because it is a lot longer journey than I know I've thought. And every book I've read about being an entrepreneur or anything, everyone says the same thing. If you know that's you, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
she did successful things, and she had some minor things. She's really good at advising people. She's good at contracts, so she was an asset. I got to be around that again growing up. So I did have all those things in my brain when I finally decided to launch out and try my own thing. So that was definitely helpful.
And just out of curiosity, with your mom, what were some of the different ideas that stuck in your head of? You mentioned, not all of them saw the success that she wanted, but what were the ones that intrigued you the most, or looking back, you thought like, hey, that was actually a pretty interesting idea? Because my dad's launched a whole bunch of random ideas that have worked and haven't worked, but some of them I think are actually pretty interesting. If I would execute that idea today, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty, a novel idea. Was there anything like that sticks out to you?
No, honestly, nothing. Stuff I'm not interested in. Like, she started a company, doing resume and job placement and headhunting services for engineers. Mm-hmm. Not this dude. I'm the artist. I'm the worst. Like, I'm the guy with the perpetually messy desk. I turn it up every day, but it will be wrecked if I'm doing my job at all. So, so no, absolutely zero. I mean, it was. I found. I can look back now, because obviously I don't have the wisdom as a kid, but I can look back now and know that the things that I was into were about, how do I say it now? I say, I want to make things better and make better things. I'm not inventive, but I'm very ingenuitive. If you've got the thing, we can go hit home runs together with the thing. I can push you and the thing to excellence. I enjoy that process. I think my journey is quantified that I won't say I'm good at it, because I don't like saying I'm good at anything, because then it still gives me something to chase. But I'm decent at it. I'm nice enough at it, so I've had some success for myself and for other people doing it. So, I think that's what fuels the brand. I think, everything we're going to do, the impetus for getting involved with Clearco, everything. It's about how's the best way to accomplish that. And so even the products that we release, they're about how can we make you better at what you're doing?
Yeah.
How can we improve things? So,
yeah, no, I'm super excited to dig into all that. As you were, growing up as a kid and eventually start going to school and, get to the point where you might be making a decision on, do I want to go to college or not? Like at that point in your life, call it, teenage years, what do you recall back then as to what you were drawn to? What did you want to spend your time doing?
Oh, I wanted to go, I'll jokingly say it this way. I want to go kill bad guys for Jesus. That's what I was all about. Yeah. And ultimately from a place of, again, I just wanted, I wanted the world to be a good, safe place, and the Marines was the way to do it. For me, I didn't want business, honestly, when I was younger. I saw a lot of stress in business. So again, while I was around those positive influences, and I'm able to see that now, let's not pretend that I was on some kind of path and I never veered off course. I feel like I fell into business by accident sometimes until I go back and look at the data. But, it's just one of those things. I wanted to go be a Marine, so I did that for a little bit, got in, got hurt, got out. Spent the next 10, 12 years kind of figuring it out, reinventing, figuring out who you want to be when who you wanted to be didn't work out exactly.
Do you remember the story or the conversation, whether it's with your parents or maybe you just kind of signed up on your own, but, with the moment you saw something that says like, I definitely want to be a Marine. How did that come about?
You just got shovels today, don't you? You just turning on all the dirt. All right. No, not at all. Okay, so my family, and forgive me, anybody who's watching this who's heard other podcasts I've been on, you can go ahead and hit mute. You've heard this stuff before, but I'll try to make it equally interesting every time. My grandmother was one of the first 50, how they phrase it then, women of color in the U.S. Army. My grandfather was an Army photographer at the time, and it kind of went down from there. So everybody's been Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines in some capacity, except for maybe 7 of us, right? So we come from that kind of thing. So being in the military was an option, but as I've said before to some people, as soon as you decide that, the family tries to talk you out of it. It's not pitching the downside to tell you you could be so much more, you could do it. They do all that. I think it's part of making sure we really want it. That's how we get there, because it's going to be hard. It's a unique lifestyle. So you better be sold out to it. So my mother actually wanted me to go in the Air Force. And that became a bone of contention. I mean, she went so far as to trespass the Marine recruiters, so they couldn't come to the house anymore. And, right? Yeah. So I was sneaking off to go, be in the pool, the Pool E program, and and train to go to boot camp, and bringing in. I put 3 or 4 other people into boot camp before I ever got to go because of contention and stuff. And I actually went about 1.5 years, 2 years late. But yeah, it was wild, man.
You fought hard for it, so you really wanted it then.
Really wanted it. What's funny is, like, in the interim, I got an Air Force scholarship, a 4-year full ride, pay for everything for business management, which they don't do non-technical. I didn't want any part of that, but I took it because I had, I was one, you got to. So I take that, started it, didn't like the culture because, again, I had already decided I was a Marine, so it's completely stupid kid stuff, right? If I could hop back in a time machine and, tomorrow war, talk with myself, forget killing the aliens 30 years from now, dude, take that scholarship. You're going to be a businessman one day. You want that first business degree paid for. You want to have unique international experiences. You want to, fast track in your international MBA. But, shortage of mentorship, that's a real thing. So that's another thing. Yeah. We're big on mentoring people. I'm big on mentorship because I saw what it did to my own life. So I lost probably 15 years of business life I could have been doing. Don't regret the path at all. But now, if I could go back and do it differently based on where I want to go today, man, sit your butt in those seats. Put up with a terrible uniform. Look like a bus driver for a few days a week. Go do the thing.
You'll be good. You'll be good. So you eventually make it to the Marines, and I don't know if the first day or the first month is or some day in that first couple of months. What was that? What was that like when you kind of walk through the doors and you're kind of and I apologize, I haven't been through a military background, so you can frame the question better than me. But what was that first day like when you have that uniform on, you're like, well, damn, I'm a Marine. Like, what was that indoctrination like, or introduction like to that?
There's a phrase, it's great marketing too, but it says the change is forever. Man, they're not joking. It can go away, but I moved away. For example, started Rodic in Oceanside, California. So the Pendleton's right there, huge Marine culture. I'd been away for a long time. Again, I got out of the Marines in 2002. Got injured, got out. So it's been a long time. So walking like a Marine, talking like a Marine, standing like a Marine, being called a Marine everywhere you go, being thanked for my service, it went away. That's the thing. I'm doing business now. I'm doing other things. That was a great phase of life. I wasn't the ultimate contributor. Other guys are carrying that forward. I'll always be part of that team and that family. But I'm doing other things now, and that should show. That should evolve. So it takes a while for that to wash off. Man, 6 minutes in Oceanside years ago. Next thing you know, it's all, I'm knife handing the world. I'm friggin' daggone. I'm talking like a Marine. It all comes back, man. It's ridiculous.
It's like riding a bike. It sounds.
So it's that you get that moment, that first day when you go, wow, I made it, but you're still nothing. That's the first thing. Your feet hit the fleet. You're still nothing, but still you got time. Graduation before you hit the fleet, you got to go learn how to do something that you're still going to suck at for a long time. You get out there, but it is a feeling of pride. It's a big thing because I got to be part of something that I wanted to be part of. Whether or not it shook out the way I wanted it to, I got to be part of that, and that's important because again, I don't think it was part of my ultimate path. When I look at this again, the weird things like the scholarship that popped up out of nowhere, you have to be referred for those. To this day, we don't know how I got that. We shook every tree we could to figure out how, and my grades weren't stellar, man. I didn't even care. I'm a systems guy. So once I figured out the system wasn't great and I had to work for a living too, I'm like, I'm cool with the 3.5. I got to work, I'm going to make money. I'm already trying to get out of high school in 10th grade. I'm good. I'm showing up for track practice. That's all I'm there for, so yeah. I still don't know how I got it. So life path wise, I'm fine with it. So as far as life moments, that catalyzing moment when you step out there and you go, wow, I got this event, it never really goes away. Mm-hmm. It's always a point of pride. It's like, cool, I'm part of this big, amazing machine that is selfless. It's as great as it is terrible, and it's selfless. It's about to, it's everything I wanted to be. And it's also none of the things you want to have anything to do with, as is the military. But that's a whole nother podcast. A little more family, a little more business side.
Yeah. Well, obviously this is an important part of your childhood, dreams or early life dreams, and you kind of got in, and then you got injured, got out, as you said. When you were exiting yourself from that life in that moment when either when you got hurt and you knew you weren't be able to return to service, or once you kind of finished your tours, what stuck in your head as to like, well, like, what am I going to do next? Because I feel, this is lots of people deal with this issue, especially the veteran community, but in general, people in life have these big life moment changes, especially for something that's so personally important to them. It's part of their identity. And I'm just curious what that, what the story was like, or what the conversation was like in yourself of once you knew, hey, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. What am I going to do next?
A lot of running, a lot of push-ups, a lot of thinking. Trying to figure stuff out. You get a job. I had a kid at the time, wife and kids. So you get a job and you just chase. At least this is what I did. I'm not saying this way of business. Let me stop saying it that way. Got a job. Try to get as much money as possible. Try to figure that. That's mission one. Get stable. I've got some VA benefit. The goal is not to use it to live off of. The goal is to do other things with it. Seed money for the kids, for college, whatever. Mm-hmm. Still make your way in life. So had to figure that out. And I was a kid, it's not like, again, I'm talking about this now as a 45-year-old, grandpa who's learned a couple of things, definitely skinned his knees and bumped his forehead a bunch. But, the kid then, it was just, it's all, if I ever looked cool, it was duck on the pond, that's period. It was figuring it out. And, that was 20 years of figuring that out. Going into business and realizing that I keep ending up in business, even in jobs. I keep ending up climbing up towards the C-level offices, and not because I care about the title or I want to be. That's where the action is, and that's where the decisions are made, and that's where the lower you are, the more you're impacted by things that trickle down. So if something negative is trickling down consistently, if I see the 3 data points and see they're trending, I want to go above that trickle to find out why that's happening and fix whatever's causing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like forever, like fix data so that, and you have to be somewhere to do that. You got to get high enough. So that's kind of my approach for all of that. And that's just what I did. I just tunneled in, got a bunch of unique jobs. Again, I think it's a life path blessing kind of thing. I would apply for everything. I don't care. Unloading UPS planes at the airport in the middle of the night, working at a fast food joint. Couldn't get any of those regular jobs.
Yeah.
I get like security at a data center that turns into a tech support gig, that turns into running a web development department. That's, weird stuff.
Bit by bit, you climb.
Yeah, I'm not. I used to treat life like a ladder. I've gotten better at it, and I learned to chill out at good levels and enjoy. Still working on the enjoy thing. But life is a ladder. It's just, okay, I got here. Well, there's another rung, and they wouldn't have put it there if I wasn't supposed to reach it. So, and if I'm not supposed to reach it, then I'm on the wrong ladder. I need to get to a different ladder so I can get to the rungs I'm supposed to climb, grab. But
yeah.
They weren't rungs. They're actually whole floors. And, hang out for a while, learn some things, enjoy, walk around, take your shoes off. So I'm getting there. At this phase in life, I'm a lot better than that.
Yeah. Well, eventually, I'd love to get to the story of how Raw Grip started, but again, as we were prepping before we jumped on, it sounded like you had at least one, if not a couple of other businesses or ideas or side hustles, depending on how you're running them. What was your first entrepreneurial endeavor before Raw Grip?
First one was when I used to walk to school when I was in seventh grade. Eighth grade. That's a lie. 8th grade. Stop at the gas station, spend my lunch money, get $3 lunch money, and I'd spend it on Laffy Taffy and Now and Laters and stuff, and I'd go sell them. I'd buy them 10 cents a piece, 15 cents a piece, sell them for a quarter a piece, which was undercutting other people who were selling it for like 50 cents a piece, which was still beating the student store. I learned the volume. I learned that you make none of the money and all the money in wholesale. And that's what I would do, and I'd flip it. And then I kind of created my own competition because another guy's mom would buy sodas from Costco, so he didn't even have any startup cost, and he was undercutting the student store. And then they got mad and said we couldn't sell stuff because. So that was the first one. So I was doing a lot of business lessons in like 8th, 9th grade, real fast. 8th
Before you jump to your next one, you made all that money as a 7th grader. What did you want to buy with it?
More food generally.
Just grow the business, grow the empire.
Yeah, grow the empire. It's like, okay, because if I take this 3 and I can turn that into 10, I still have the 3. So I am going to spend 5 though, because I still have another 5. Now I can do something, but you can't do anything with $5. So now I can stack towards something that costs 10. Now I can go buy that, that NWA, cassette tape. My mom doesn't want me to listen to it. Whatever I got to buy with pocket lunch money change and all that. So,
so you have a
lot of maturity.
Yeah, well, you got a little candy empire, and
encouraged my kids to do the same as soon as they got,
Yeah, well, I'm so
do it.
Yeah, I'm so curious as we get into family. I don't have kids, but I was listening to some of the stuff you had produced before, and clearly they're an important part of your life, and I think a lot of people that watch have kids as well, and who are also entrepreneurs, and so I think there's a lot that they can learn from you on that front. But in terms of ideas, you start the candy empire, and then, was there anything through high school or, I'm not sure if there's infrastructure to do that while you're in the military, but, what are some of the steps along the way?
We don't talk about any of the deals in the military. You're not supposed to do that stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, somebody's always trying to do something in the military. It's hilarious. But no, the next one was I did some T-shirts. When I was in high school, I was in that class, and we had some student groups I was involved in. I was involved in one, and I did the T-shirts for them. And then I figured out I could probably make money because what the other clubs didn't have was a designer. Being the artist, that's what got me into it. It's what got me in all of it. I like the design stuff. So it was so I started selling the design work. So I started selling T-shirt designs to other companies, and did that a couple times. Did it in college a few times. To pay the bills and do different things. Find somebody, get in between, find a printing company, and just be the designer, but still manage fulfillment. Stuff like this. That was I'd say that was the next iteration of me doing any kind of business. And then there was a huge gap for a long time because I was had a decent job, and I was raising my kids, and I didn't want, still had entrepreneurial ideas, but I hadn't really figured anything out, And
And so raw grip, if I go by LinkedIn, which you can't always believe what you read on the internet, starts officially in it starts officially 2016, but I'm sure the thought process in your head was well before that. And I think in one of the podcasts I listened to, you started making your own formulas in your own garage to figure it out. What was the true origin of raw grip strength? And maybe here you can talk a little bit about what the business is today and what the V0.1 of that looked like.
Right. Oh gosh. I mean, how have we? Okay, so the first bottles were made absolutely in the garage in a food processor. I can't even remember how. I used to remember, but I'm getting older. That's less of a thing now. I think it was like 6 to 8 bottles I made. Just a lot of trial and error, trying to figure out. I made it for my own use. I had just gotten back into any kind of training at all, and had been training with straps for all of my grip work. And one day I just didn't have them, and I couldn't hold on to my working weight. So that was a problem. So the gyms I was in wouldn't allow chalk. So I started looking at alternatives. I found hydrocellulose things, nothing. I couldn't find anything good, basically. So I had another company at the time as a gym towel company. I just kind of launched, and I was looking for items to drive the average ticket up, because towels were selling out every time I printed them. But it's just not a high. The margins were fantastic. Okay, margins are. I don't even feel. They're so great, but the price point was so fair that I don't even feel like a bad person for saying that the margins were great. Everybody can know that we make great money on the towels. You guys love us anyway. We give you other great deals and other stuff, but just know the towels are our jewelry department. But they're rad, so buy them anyway. So the towels, I had that going. Wanted to drive the average ticket up, and at the same time ran into this problem. So it's chocolate peanut butter. I was like, I'll work on that because that meets both needs. I started looking at white label. I'm like, that's cool. That's a neat thing. I tried to find white label solutions. I didn't want to make this stuff to begin with. I didn't really understand why the stuff I ran into sucked. I just figured out it sucked. The brands, depending on what brand you like, everybody likes a brand for a reason. They're all kind of selling. So it might just be me, but couldn't find any decent white labels at all. So then I thought it can't be that hard to make. So put on the nerd hat, did that, made it for personal use. I kind of tabled the business idea for a while. For some other, had kind of turned to pursuing some other business ideas. So it became less urgent. And at the time, I let a trainer friend of mine start using the chalk, gave him a bottle, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to sell this stuff." But he says it's too thick, it lasts way too long, and stuff like that. He had it forever because, again, I wasn't really focused on it. Kind of took my mind off it. Checked in with him one day, he still had a ton of it. So knew we were onto something. Went back, reworked the formula so it was more usable, wouldn't dry out in the bottle. Still really high quality. Quite honestly, still the highest quality product in its niche that you can get. And I know that because we spend the money to make sure that that's true. That's honestly how you do it. You just spend a bunch of money and you secure the right supply chains, and then you guard them and you try to make sure nobody else can get them.
Yeah.
Costs more money. So,
well, that's one thing I've learned, and we get some questions on how you got early traction. But if there's any pattern I've noticed across all the interviews I've done just this year, as to great businesses and how they grew, it's because they had a great product, and then you market it, you do all these other things, but it starts with, does your product work? Is it superior to the competition? And that's gonna carry you a long way. So, 100% you were focusing on the right stuff back then. So
ish,
it's on the way.
Again, I'm speaking from life is lived forward and understood backward, right? In reverse. So, I'm speaking from the tail end of the lessons, but a little bit of focus, a lot of mania, a lot of figuring out,
So you threw out some nuggets that I'd love to dig into before we go more into raw grip. You had a towel company. You just putting where you're at your life in this point with the gym towel. Is this something you're doing full time, or is this something you're like working and just doing on the side? Where were you before the chalk with the towels? Where were you at in your life at that point?
Gosh, where had we so much? Let's get this timeline right. When you and I were talking prior to the start of the show, and you were mentioning some of the things I'm sure we'll get into later with fitness, with your ski thing. And, that company, I'd kind of come off of that company and decided to push the towels. It's like, I've got to do something else. Let's push the towels. Still had some interest, was working with some supplement companies and brands and things like that. So the towels had, I wanted them to be full-time, I guess, but nothing can be until it can support itself. So that was more, I wanted it to be the full-time thing, and I didn't honestly know how to scale it. You know, that's been the biggest thing I've learned. I think the business, and I'm still learning. Let's not act like I'm exactly where I need to be or want to be right now with the product sales, but scaling things, man, it's challenging. Selling one doesn't mean you can sell 1 million. You know, it's everyone I talk to wants one. Cool. How do you talk to more people? That's more challenging than I thought it would be. I've never really had some, like I said, flipping candy is not a product sales business. Let's not pretend. Now I have a product and I'm trying to do that. That was hard. So I was still doing other things, still deciding what I wanted to do, but I really was, I was interested in seeing it do well because I believed in the product.
Yeah.
Fun. People liked it. I liked it. Again, fantastic market.
Yeah, you got to have your it's not, I guess, the opposite, one of the opposite of loss leaders is your cash cows or whatnot to fund the business. So you get, there's some steps along the way before you come back to Chalk or your version of Chalk, right? What were some of the other things you tried and tested before getting back into the business that we all know about today?
As far as other business types or other products?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you said in between the towels and like, let's go produce this as the core business. I'm just curious of like, where did your mind take you? Of like, let's try this, let's try that.
Daniel, thought we're trying to keep this under an hour. I've done some things. No, I like working with my bros, especially my best friend, and he's very entrepreneurial and he wins big. It's fun. It's fun working with him. Like, I don't know if you, here's how I'll say it. He had a company called Iron Mountain Designs up in Utah. I went up there to help him kind of get that from one phase to another phase. And we were making, I'll say he, because he's the artist behind it. We were making these gigantic steel American flags. And if you've ever seen the Joe Rogan podcast, that flag that's behind him, that's the flag that Josh designed. And I got this, sand the meal scale off of and helped make that. So that was that company, and did a lot of other rad things. I mean, that was amazing. Sold tons of flags, did hundreds, did great. But that wasn't going to be the company that I spent the rest of my days with. And it wasn't the last thing that he did either. He's on, doing other awesome things. But so coming off of that was one, and that was fun. But I was always fine to leave California. Let's go to Utah for maybe forever. Leave California, go to Colorado for maybe forever. Just starting businesses, doing things like that, working with my friends, all while trying to figure out what my next permanent thing was. Because I came from, if it was design development, media marketing, now that's another one. So between the candy biz and the towels, I had, when I was raising my kids, I had a boutique design and development firm. So we were doing that, and we got to work with, NFL players, all kinds of things. So, lots of things with sports, local college teams, got to learn about PR as it relates to athletics. So that was fun. So did that for a long time, but I was more on the tech side for that. So that's, so I kind of had that. So I bring all this comes forward, and this is why I can do these startups and why I can jump into these businesses, because I had those skills for my thing. So I could. My buddy goes, "Hey, I need a guy like you. You might as well be the guy. And I'll give you a piece of the company." And I go, "Okay. Want a plane ticket? That's all I'm waiting for." No, drive because you need your truck. Okay. That's how it works. So, I was always, because really for me, business is just a vehicle towards the life I ultimately want. That's really all it is. That's why I'm willing to try different things. That's why I firmly believe Raw Grip Strength Company is not going to be the last thing that I do. I hope it lasts forever and keeps running and keeps being an asset and helping people and being everything it's supposed to be. But it's not going to be the last thing I do.
Yeah.
You mentioned family. That's really what it's about for me. I'm in this, like I said, I'm a grandpa now, so it's time to build that empire. Get the family trust going. Go buy. Get the land, get all the things that the grandkids are going to need, so we can have some generational things going.
Well, this is what you're building right now is a great foundation for all that. That's very, very clear. So amongst all these different ideas, at some point, you cut a check, I'm sure, to buy your first real professionally made inventory I imagine that's like the biggest startup cost for a business like yours. What, how much did you have to put down? Where did you get the money? And more importantly, what actually gave you the confidence to say, hey, look, I'm going to go part with, however many $1,000 to go, all in, or, somewhat more seriously into this idea?
Oh, I'm not nearly that. How do we want to say it? Confident. But, not by, no, man, I'm the guy who stands back. When that old adage, and I think it's overused, but when they talk about, you need me to chop down a tree, I'll spend so much time sharpening the axe. Let's be real. Most people never actually take the swing at the tree. They just keep saying they're sharpening the axe, including me. I've done that a billion times in my life. I'll hopefully do it less than a billion more. But, I didn't just dive in confidently at all, even once I had a proven product that was selling, because I still had some fears. I've experienced loss in life. And so banking it all on this weird product that you still have to explain to maybe 20% of the people that you talk to about it, I'm not really all in. That's where I was at on it. And it was we started with one SKU. We started with just the Rodic liquid chalk product. That was the original company name. We rebranded a couple of years ago, and that's when we became Rodic Strength Company, because we had more to bring to the strength sports world. But yeah, that one thing, man, I walked that slow. And it's a handmade product. We still make every batch. So now while we have, a company handling bottling, we have people handling labeling, which we just had to take that back. That's a business grown. All of a sudden orders were getting shipped 6 weeks late, and all kinds of nightmarish things that happened. So I just brought that back in house, recently. But so it's kind of when do you just go, to heck with it, I'm ordering 5,000 empty plastic bottles and lid and 10,000 labels, and we're going to sit on this, and now we got to move it. I remember the moment that I finally listened to what people told me to do. It could have been the moment, any number of moments prior to the time I decided to act. And I think that's true in a lot of our lives, with a lot of business people, and in a lot of areas of everybody's lives. It just took me going, fine, I'm going to listen and do the thing. Let me decide that I've heard enough. I believe enough. It's all just emotional decisions. Let me just squeeze the trigger. The stuff sells. I intentionally, with great intentionality, produce a high quality product. We do everything we can to make the best thing, bring the best version of ourselves to market. Dude, just do it more. Just do it more. So it was a big show of faith for me to just do that, and we did that 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago we just went, fine, just go all in, and it didn't go super awesome. But we had the stock, and that was a lesson. It went great in flashes, because there were still other things that I needed to learn how to do. Just because you have a great product, and now just because you have more of it, if you still don't, and then algorithms change, and you have to learn that. If you don't have the marketing side down, and paid ads, you got to learn, and you start learning what you have to learn at a much higher rate of speed, because now every time you look over your shoulder, you got all these boxes.
Yeah.
So
they creep up on you. It's just, was there, where do I think about this? What I'm curious about is once you've kind of went all, your version of all in 3 years ago, and at that point, I'm sure you're very optimistic of like, hey, this is great. You wouldn't have done it if you weren't optimistic, then that would be completely psychotic, right? Where, is there a story or a moment that stands out to you that you had thought like, hey, like this campaign or this investment or this strategy was going to be the right one, and then it ends up, not working out? Or are there moments where you just got sideswiped by some, cataclysmic, unexpected problem that clearly you've recovered from? And what comes to mind when I ask some of those questions?
I'm gonna go get some tissue first. No. Man, you're talking about the end of 2019. 2019, I finally decided to trust another human being enough to bring on an investor partner. And great guy. His name's Steven. I'll talk about him sometimes. He's I'm blessed because I'm surrounded with people who are excellent at what they do. And this guy's excellent at business development and identifying opportunities, and he's an encourager, and he's great guy. So brought him in, and so end of 2019, we've got our strategy. We're working with agencies. We're figuring everything out. We've got our let's go big, let's hit 2020 in a whole new way kind of thing. And by February 2020, we're really gaining ground. We brought on 17 new gyms in, I think, 9 new states. It was something like that, 6 or 9, I forget, somewhere in there. I mean, we were looking good. I was getting up at 5 a.m. on Saturday mornings and just DMing gym owners and stuff, because I like, I want to talk to people. I'm honestly, I know people don't like sales for lots of reasons. Number one, sales is hard. People don't like dealing with sharky salespeople. I'm like, but we all like to buy stuff, right? So talk to a sales guy. I'm more the rapport builder. I don't want to have to just dial for dollars. I want to get to know you. I want to make sure that we're helping you and see if there's a way we can do bigger things together. And to me, that starts with DMs that I actually respond to at 5 a.m., midnight, 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday. That's very much the culture of our company. So
yeah, don't sleep, for everyone watching. Don't sleep on the DM strategy. There's another company in our portfolio, a guy named Kevin Goulden. Him and I have done. He has like 3 businesses. One of them is called Glamnetic, which is like a magnetic eyelash company, and they're widely successful. One of our larger companies that we've invested in, and I'm curious. So you've kind of answered one of my questions I had. So I'm curious what other things you did. A question I always ask him is like, what were some of the early tactics you used to drive sales? And it's like every single customer, and he wasn't to the gym, which is a wholesale account. He's like, literally, I would DM individual people on Instagram night and day to chat with them, talk to them. And, obviously they want to buy it. I'll convert it into a sale, but it's more of that one-to-one communication in the early days is how probably most businesses start. Another one we interviewed last week, her strategy was she sells flowers, Farm Grow Flowers, another great company that we've invested in. And her strategy was putting bouquets of flowers at Starbucks around California with a little thing of cards of, here's where the flowers are from. And that wasn't I did that for a month. That was, I think, for 2 years, drove the majority of sales, was turning Starbucks into basically a showroom.
It's brilliant. That's a high traffic. I mean, gosh, they get feet through those doors at Starbucks. And that's the demographic. That's the kind of person who's going to appreciate a small bouquet of flowers. Might buy it for themselves, buy it to some. I mean, everybody goes in there. You've got either you like flowers, you've got a person to give flowers to. They just made it more convenient because you're already there for your coffee.
Exactly.
A little jealous. It's a smart move.
Yeah. So anyways, I interrupted your question, but I have a sense of where it's going if you're DMing gyms in the start of 2020.
Yeah. It was, well, that was more, let's be honest, I was doing that because I was excited.
100%.
Very quickly in February, things got exciting negatively. February, March, the world decided that it needed to shut down for reasons. And gyms, because they were full of sweaty, breathing humans, were not allowed to be a thing anymore. So when your primary customer is a gym, you just ran out of customers, boss.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. I had orders in that asked politely if they could cancel or put them on hold because they didn't know if they were going to still be a thing, 30 days from then, because they still forget what I was dealing with. That's where my heart went to, was first me, of course, because I'm selfish in business. What am I going to do? I'm feeding my grandkids, how are they going to do? How's my dog going to get new toys? But then it went to, I can't imagine as a gym owner who has that much overhead, like on a facility, and they still have to pay it because we don't know what's going to happen. So now they're not allowed to even make money with this thing that they're pouring money into. And, the mental health side of it, I was like, this is going to get interesting. But it got very scary. Yeah, very scary. And we went, well, maybe we need to do something else. We had kind of just launched a supplement brand. We had to table that for an entire year. That got rough. But 2020 brought lots of opportunities. And not just the kind, not just to learn how tough we were or anything, but we came with a new product. Everything we do is needs-based, so that was good. Came right along. It was when big chalk buckets were no longer allowed because you couldn't share. We put chalk into little containers, called them ICBs, individual chalk buckets. Put the words share goals, not chalk, on the side. And next thing you know, gyms were able, as soon as they opened up, they were able to order cases of those. So now we got a new product that we're selling cases of. So 2020 wasn't terrible to us. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard. It was depleting in many ways, financially probably the least. But went into 2021, honestly hopeful. Felt like I came out with some new stuff. Was just waiting for the world to give me a chance to push it out there. then, very quickly spun into you guys. So I've had a lot just in the last 24 months, a lot of both of those types of things.
Yeah.
They've been very good. All of them, and they've all been up. All the waves been riding up. And there were never any that just slammed me down where I felt like I hit the same floor I'd hit before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that floor is hard, but it's because we're in the middle of the mountain. We're moving up. I didn't like the slam, but I appreciate where I'm at.
As someone who lifts, I think you can appreciate that analogy too. That's what it is you're going through your program, every week. Hopefully you're making it better, but some weeks you have rough weeks. I just can't do what I did last week, but maybe 2-3 weeks from now, after I deload, after I chill out, then I'll make a big jump and I'll make it a little bit more, and then I'll plateau. And it's that's for me. I take a huge, I guess, blueprint of life from fitness, because fitness is luckily this nice little contained thing that is a kind environment to a certain extent. You put in your inputs, you get relatively clear outputs. Life obviously is a lot more complicated than that. But to
say the least.
Yeah, the question I have, just spending another beat on that moment during COVID. So I remember the date for me of what I didn't expect the world would change. I think it was like March 14th. And I was in a gym. I was in one of my favorite studios. And I remember, at least in Toronto, that was the first time where people's like, oh, you can't like high five. You got to like elbow tap people and all that. And literally 24 hours later, they went from like, we'll keep it open another day to like, no, we're canceling everything. And then, we here at Clearbank at the time, Clearco, we had just experimented a couple of days before, like, let's practice working from home and just see how everything works. And we've never gone back. For you, whatever that day was, like, what did you immediately do when you knew it's like, oh man, everyone's canceling their orders. No one's going to buy chalk online. They have no gym to go to. What was the first thing you did in that moment?
I think I paced, to be honest, to be transparent with, it's just you and me here, right? It's not like everybody's, this is live. I think I paced for like 4 days. That's all I remember doing. I remember waking up and going, and earlier every day, because anxiety does that. There was definitely some situational anxiety that was there. I'm a cell phone anyway. As soon as I got enough juice, I'm up. It's a terrible thing. It's terrible sleeping habits. It's not going to go away. So add anxiety and real life need in situations, and I'm sleeping, 4 hours, and I'm up and I'm wanting to do something. I like the pacing time, because that's when I'm spinning the cube in the head and I'm trying to figure it out. But again, that's where the ICB came from, because I knew, and that was within the first 3 weeks. Like, we came up with the ICB because we couldn't. It was like 6 weeks from now, we're not a thing. We can't, no one's buying T-shirts. People don't go to work right now. We can't just pivot to our apparel line. We can't. Maybe we could pivot to the supplements, but probably not, because getting that off the ground as a new brand, it's like, we're either going to do this still, just make it work and survive, or we're going to do something completely different and just apologize to everybody for Robert not being a thing anymore. And I wasn't willing to do that. I like it too much, honestly. I think it's cool. The people that are involved are cool. It's kind of neat that it was born in a barn with a little bottle of chalk, and now it's turned into this international thing. That still has nothing to do with me. And I think that's part of the success of it, and why, it's great. We'll get into that, but that's what came out of it. I'll take the hard if I get good out of it.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
And so, I'm sure this has changed from when the business first started till today. And, we're very proud to be part of some of this journey. Every entrepreneur, in one way or the other, cares about cash, or they should, because that's the lifeblood of the business. It pays for your team. It pays for all the things you want to create. And so, how did you fund the business along the way? How did you fund that first big check you cut? And then how did you, fund this pivot or evolution rather, to ICB? What did that journey look like for you?
Honestly, again, this falls under the heading of lessons learned, valuable lessons learned from mentors. I met a new mentor. He's younger than I am, but he's ahead of me in several areas, key areas for business. And so I really look up to him for those. And he, not reinstilled, because I always knew the value of relationships, but he taught me how to broker relationships in this industry, a little bit. So where my funding came from, and my opportunities was the relationships that I'd been able to, using that advice and practicing those skills and meeting people and using rapport, rapport to drive sales. Again, that's more my natural thing anyway. So rapport to gain business connections and make them genuine. Make sure it's always genuine. All your relationships, as he taught me, all your relationships should serve two purposes. Have a genuine friendship. Don't be fake. Don't just be there because of what you can get, but also like make money together or do something else together, or help people together, or do something to get, reinforce it, bolster that relationship with something awesome, some secondary thing. So approaching relationships that way allowed me to buy at lower MOQs. So I didn't have to buy 10,000 containers to get started when I really wanted to go. I could buy 500. I was able to spend money differently, have a little bit of buffer. And so I did that, and I would I would use, like other things like the towels. They would say, those towels are great. I'd say, well, why don't we put them in your shops? So I would sell the towels, take that margin markup and pour it 100% into buying, chalk stuff. Let's just get more of the raw materials. Let's get, more of the emulsifier. Let's buy new machines. So we're fulfilling ourselves. I always want to have the ability to just fulfill ourselves, period. Because if something happens in the supply chain, I need to be able to at least triage for a little bit. So, so the funding came from a combination of being able to make really sweet deals and still just working hard, still just working to find the money.
Yeah.
Again, until I met Steven, because he came on with an investment, which was nice. That somebody really believed in you when another just individual human being goes, yeah, let's bring some money into this thing. And that helped to give us a big jump. That actually got us to be able to be at the point where we could work with Clearbank.
Amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. So, and again, I met him at one of my oldest friends, a guy I put in the Marine Corps. I knew him since high school, junior high. We used to hang out, do all the wrong things together. And I put him in the Marines, and now he's an amazing luxury, real estate agent, does very well. He's got a beautiful family. And one of his best friends, John, his younger brother, is Steven. So we're at a birthday party with Mike, and then Steven comes in and he's just listening to me talk about business and things, and we connected. And next thing you know, I've got an investor partner who absolutely believes in me as a human being and the business. So that's kind of the value of relationship. Being willing to talk about my business almost everywhere. That,
as any good entrepreneur does, to whether or not people want to listen or not.
Oh gosh, we're disgusting with it. I don't even apologize. I'll say, sorry, all I want to talk about is business tonight. I'll just say that. I'll catch myself. It's my third turn with the mic, and it's talking about my business again. That's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I might be stuck this place for 10 years. So, love me or leave me alone.
Nothing wrong with that.
No,
nothing wrong with that.
Being willing to do that, and then just meeting like-minded people, just a good life flow. That brought things, and then I've definitely spent some money poorly. Ooh, man, definitely some money I wish I could get back. Money in minutes and inches. I wish I could get all that back and do it completely differently, or not at all. Is
there something that comes to mind as relates even to just the current business of an investment that?
Yeah, we went. I mean, some of it's just timing, like jumping too early into things and then having to sit on them for a long time. The apparel side of things it was an accident, and I have to constantly remember that no, we're a chalk company. Take a lesson from Starbucks. They started doing too much, started losing money, losing business, got coffee, and then only what makes sense. Keep it limited. Steal my moves from then. That's chalk primarily. We sell chalk. We make chalk. We make the best chalk. Millions of human beings need it. That's enough. Let's do that. And then we make cool T-shirts to push the culture. So, but again, the design guy, I like making the T-shirts. That's fun. People like it. I like getting a 3 a.m. DM that says, "Can you make that in purple?" When I make it in purple, I like that stuff. All the time because it's true. I just do. I'm engaging with an individual. I'm going to be creative. Now we got a new thing. It's a quick win because you get some sales, but now you got this new thing to manage.
Yeah.
And then you think you know what you're doing, and you dump a couple grand into some T-shirts and sell like 3 over, and then it takes 2 years to sell the rest of them. And some of them become giveaways, or it's just iterations of small things like that. And you go, maybe I don't know how to manage this money thing. maybe I should have somebody else handling some of this.
Yeah.
It's, I'm thankful for the lessons. I just wish they didn't cost so much.
Yeah. Some lessons cost us more than we want, but at least we learn something
I
from it.
only want free lessons, honestly. Let's be real.
You get what you pay for, right?
Only because that's a thing. This guy, I want to go above that and change that.
Yeah. Innovate everywhere.
Haven't found the door to that room, so I can't do it.
Yeah. So as we're coming up on time, you had mentioned kind of an early part of our conversation, you certainly have some hopes and dreams and aspirations that this business will lead for you. And as you've been spending time with the Clearco team, I'm just curious, what's that experience been like for you, and what are you working on with them to lead to? What else I'd love to know. What is your kind of ultimate dream in this moment?
I'll start with the Clearco part because you guys are great. It's been, working with you guys, you give me so many tools, and even sometimes it's just the layout. I log into my dashboard and I'll see something about distribution or just something, and it just makes me, oh yeah, I need to do these things. So it just keeps me in my business, and I really love that. My advisor's great, Lee. She's fantastic. You guys have already connected me with a guy named Jay Harris, who is, as far as I'm concerned, until he's not, he's my new marketing dude. And I'm just having a blast with it. So he's the reason we're doing the podcast. Again, we mentioned the Becoming Stronger podcast. That'll be launching in August, maybe end of this month. Maybe we'll surprise people, but probably August. I'll stick to the calendar. See, I'm already doing it. Yeah, it's been a great experience working with you guys. And one of the things, very sincerely, that having the assistance from ClearBank has allowed me to do is, let me say it as cheesy as possible, I can dream it. It's because you're helping me handle some of the minutia and giving me some guidance in some other areas and some resources, and I'm able to plug in people even better, utilize the people that I have even more strongly and more intelligently. And you're finding solutions for me. Now I can really dream about where the business can go. Now we're talking to athletes that, are going to the Olympics. Now we don't want to, we're not satisfied with 5 countries. We want to be in every country that'll let us be in. We want to be in 15 countries by the end of 2022 because we've identified them. We've been in all 50 states. That's a big deal. We just want to scale that up. We really want to do a lot of giving away, not just money to athletes. That's one thing. I'll pay for a meet for your scholarship an athlete, but we want to do stuff outside of athletics. We want, because again, pursuing strength is not just about getting strong. We want to show people that it's not just this meathead culture. It's not just for athletes. It's like, wow, these are really well-rounded people. You talk to strength sports athletes, they're doing all kinds of stuff. They got PhDs. It's like these are people who are doing things. And I think part of that is when you have that much talent in any one pool, let's do some stuff for the rest of culture. Let's get out with it. And I think, and again, it's not like that's missing. A lot of people are doing it, but I got my own cool ideas. We've got our own things we want to do. We want to work with youth is a big thing. So we want to work with a lot of youth athletes. We want to see a lot of people adopting strength as just an important part of life. Mental, emotional, physical.
Yeah.
That's the financial part. We're still learning that. But we really just, that's where I want to see the company go, is to be able to continue to grow and be this big resource. I want to have massive international reach. I want to be on a lot of big screens, but not necessarily for the glory. So it's always my face waving at everybody, but just, how much you can do with billions, besides just take a trip to space. You can do some stuff right here, man. And it's not, I don't know if chalk's really the road to, billions, but again, it won't be the last thing I do. And it's definitely, it's a good stretch of the road towards what I want to accomplish in life. And again, started out wanting to kill bad guys for Jesus. I've always been a little bit about loving people and doing good things. So I think this is just, my new version.
I love it. Well, you got to make thousands to make millions. You got to make millions to make billions. So it's it all contributes in service of that.
Absolutely.
But I think there's any place to finish off, it's right there, Jonathan. Thank you for sharing your story. And, we're obviously very proud to play a small part in you achieving, all those hopes and dreams. And for those who have been tuning in and sticking around, I encourage you guys to, again, drop a follow here on Instagram. I'm sure we'll hear about your podcast coming out soon. And, if there's any other way we can help, outside of what Lee and team is doing, please don't hesitate to ask. And otherwise, everyone, stay tuned for more shows coming over the next couple of weeks. And hope you all have a great rest of your day.